guys wanted to do something special to commemorate the 100th episode. Find out what the Dark Carnival has influenced in our lives. It's just a swing at the Dim Carnival.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the very special 100th episode of the Dim Carnival. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are pleased that you have tuned in on your podcast device, which requires a download, to this special episode. We made it to 100 episodes. It only took us 6 years. We're really excited. We're happy. We're happy to be here for 100 episodes. We're happy that you are here with us for our 100th episode. And yeah, it's just it's a good time, man. It's a good time. It's a good time to be alive. How you guys feeling on this 100th eve?
Well, it's 2021.
Sure.
Also, it's a new year. And,
definitely, both of those things are true.
And it's also it's just a few days shy of our 3-year anniversary, or 3 years from the debut episode of the Dim Carnival. So it's pretty
Whoop.
coincidental. Yeah.
Whoop,
Whoop.
etc. and so on.
So I guess when we first, Bill and I, we used to talk about this idea of doing an ICP podcast for years, right? Years and years ago.
Yes.
And then I decided that I wanted to invite Steve to be part of it. But so then I guess I probably emailed you, Steve, or maybe sent you a text. I don't remember. Do you remember?
You text me.
Sent you a text. So like around
you
that
may have
time,
emailed me, but I never look at my email. So
even when we we go back and listen to episode 0, right? We didn't have any idea what we were gonna do, what it was gonna be like. I mean,
Yeah.
So,
We still don't.
I mean, I feel like if I had told you then that I was certain we'd do 100 episodes, would you have thought that was reasonable?
Yeah. Before I had a kid, absolutely.
Right. We could just go on and on to infinity.
Yeah.
Without.
Just like, what else am I going to do?
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
That's it.
I'm just curious what you think. But yeah, I mean, I think it's, I've been very impressed. I've said it multiple times recently. I'm very, very proud of, this podcast. I'm proud of what we do. Proud of the product that we make.
I am stoked because, so, you know, I've had many podcasts, that I've done, that I've been part of. What I have been most blown away by is that this podcast specifically has unlocked so many layers of creativity in you, Ryan, and you've put so much time and effort and work and dedication and passion and energy into the podcast, and that it has spurred you creatively, and that is really exciting for me to see, because I know, like, you and I mean, all three of us have a very long history of like having really great ideas, but like lacking the motivation sometimes, or the time, or the just the ambition to like follow through and see those out and enact them. And I am flabbergasted that this is the project that has unlocked this level of creativity in you. But I am very grateful for it, because one, like, the stuff that you have created is just incredible, and two, that you're getting so much out of what you're putting into it. Like, for you, it's the creating the thing is the reward, and that's what all creative endeavors should always be, and what far too often we lose sight of in those creative endeavors. But I mean, the two of you, like, YouTube more than any of my other friends, more than anyone else I know. For both of you, what I have experienced is that the act of creativity in both of you is what is what you get out of it. Like when the two of you create, you get out of it exactly what you're intending to get out of it. And it's a failing of mine and the other people in the circles I run in that we aspire to, achieve more out of our creativity than just like having created the thing. So you guys are the purest creators I know, and seeing the benefits, the utils, the satisfaction that you derive, Ryan, out of the things that you have created as a result of this podcast is extremely rewarding and has made the whole thing worthwhile for me. And what's made it even more worthwhile for me is just like my two oldest friends, being able to speak to you roughly every week and shoot the shit and laugh and catch up and just talk about dumb and consequential stuff is very important to me.
Well, here, man. Hell yeah. When you when we first started talking about the top of the episode here, didn't even consider about all this other shit. But yeah, because the reason I didn't think of it is because I totally do that for myself. And if nobody was looking at it, then I would still be doing it. And so it's cool to hear you say that, man. Cause yeah, it's been a lot of fun to figure this stuff out. And there's tons of things like you talk about spending time on shit. Like there's a lot of stuff that I've never shared with anybody that I've worked on, like sculptures and fucking videos and shit. Like, I have a whole episode of videos, already done, yeah, kind of wild, man. It's been super cool though. I feel like I needed something to pour that energy into. I wanted to produce some stuff.
You've basically been doing the 13 Clowns project, but for yourself and not trying to sell it to people.
Right. Yeah. Maybe someday we'll have like t-shirts and stuff like that. I don't know.
Steve, what about you? Let's hear some reflections on this 100th anniversary.
Absolutely. First, I want to echo what you're saying about Ryan's work and his creativity on this podcast, creating Val and the intros, the music, the voice. I'm just so proud to be a part of this, and I feel like I give so little compared to like how awesome you guys are. And you guys always make me feel good. So this is not fishing for compliments. It's just, I just feel so inadequate compared to what you guys give because it's so awesome. And, the artwork from Ryan, the details of where tracks have, samples for tracks and all these things, and then supporting and telling people to check out the original songs, like all those little details, and Bill explaining also details of like when the album came out and what's going on, and then also explaining what the theme of an overall album is or the theme of an overall song, and you just give it this brilliant narrative or narration. And I love it. I just love listening to you guys talk. Sometimes I forget to talk, and it's not because I have a broken microphone, but I'm just like listening to you guys, and I have a hard time not laughing. You guys make me laugh. And Bill, I've told you 100 times that you're my favorite comedian. And so like you just do things that just make me laugh. I have so much fun. I always look forward to this, because like you said again, Bill, how I'm getting to talk to some very sweet, dear friends that mean so much to me. And then we're talking about something so stupid and it's perfect. I mean, it just makes sense.
What else would we talk about?
Yeah. What else? And I wanted to be optimistic when you asked, Ryan, when you first asked me to be a part of this, I was very, very happy you asked me to be a part. It felt like an honor that you would include me in this. And I was hoping that we would make it this far. I didn't necessarily think we wouldn't, but just we're all busy with life and things happen. And I think I don't know if I've ever said it on the show before. I may have, but like to me, this is like the weirdest band I've ever been in. I love it. It's like a band. we're not making music, but we're listening to a lot of music. And it's also filled a role. Like, I've done playing live music. I'm not really interested in doing it. So to talk about music, it was just like a perfect next step of where I was in my life. It just fell in perfectly. And so I have been very grateful for the opportunity to do this with you guys. And I thank you for letting me be a part.
Sweet. No, man. I mean, like, I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't the three of us. So, and I'm, by that same token, I'm glad you guys kept it going while I was away.
That was like a Band-Aid, man.
It was.
That was our for the family period.
Yeah.
It was like a Band-Aid, delicious.
Well, but speaking of, this podcast is by no means a large podcast, right? We get about 100, 150 downloads a week. But
damn, you're just gonna put our business out there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't give a shit.
Okay.
I mean, you can just see it if you log in. If you go to
sure.
Podbean
No, I
or whatever,
know.
you can see the downloads. But we've made friends, right? From through this podcast, we've met a ton of cool people.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed with ourselves, like with the quality of people that we've attracted. I feel like that is something that, reflects positively on us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, I mean, as expected, people who listen to ICP / Juggalos are extremely chill and loving people.
Right. That's true. I guess we are in a skewed demographic.
Yeah. If we were, doing this podcast about Mudvayne or something.
I was going to say corn.
I'm curious to know, like, what the actual ratio of, like, people who consider themselves juggalos that listen to the show, because I don't really get the impression that a lot of juggalos do listen to the show.
I mean, it's probably half and half.
Or a lot of people who do listen to the show.
The people we hear from are juggalos.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they give a shit.
Yeah. I'm just curious about that.
Yeah. Answer our survey monkey.
I mean, I know Peter listens and he's not a juggalo. Or is he? I don't know.
I think several of our friends listen, and none of them are juggalos. Although Pete doesn't appreciate the music, so shout out to
juggalo
Pete.
adjacent.
But shout out to everyone who's ever, said what's up at a show, or has chilled with us, or come on the show, or written us an email, or dropped us a line on Instagram, because you're all great. You all have amazing knowledge. We appreciate everything that you've ever shouted out to us. But shall we move on to the next section, which is airing of grievances? No, I mean it's so what we're doing for the show is we're not talking about any music in particular. We're gonna answer some questions that we have posed to ourselves. This first part is just looking back, and then the second part is answering some questions. And we're gonna round it out by offering up our top 10 of music that we have listened to so far. The caveat here is that Holiday Heat, since we have listened to it out of order chronologically, is not eligible for top 10 consideration, because I think I would have 3 tracks off of that on my top 10. But it is great, but it does not count unless we put the 3 previously released ICP stuff that we had covered already.
Yeah, like if you wanted Red Christmas or something, I wouldn't be mad about it. I would be okay with it.
I'd be mad about it because Red Christmas isn't that good, but no, that's fine.
Me frantically scratching out number 4 on my list.
No, not Red Christmas. Don't drag me. Okay, so I had written up some questions for us to ask ourselves. It's like I'm looking at my text because it's like sending writing a letter to yourself in junior high and sealing it in an envelope. Because what I did was I wrote this today at almost 8 a.m. That's how long ago junior high was. So, which item, guys, first question, which item that we've already listened to in the chronology that you have already heard previous to us doing this podcast, which previously listened to item for you holds up the most or the least? Well, both. Which one holds up the most and which holds up the least of stuff you had heard before we started this project?
Well, I would say that held up the best because it had been a little bit of time and I was afraid that maybe some opinions may have slipped, was Great Malenko for me. It was still as great and as amazing as I remembered it. And oddly, what held up the least, and I'm not going to say that I don't love this album still, but I found I didn't like Jekyll Brothers as much as I had used to like them. I like that album much.
Ryan, for you?
This is weird because I'm kind of going to steal Steve's answers here. What sprung to mind was not a single track, but it was an entire album, similar to what Steve said, and it was Riddlebox. And going into this project, I think maybe in the first episode or in the intro episode, we talked about some of our favorite tracks, I think. And anyways, Toy Box early on and Riddlebox being my first exposure to ICP were always in a special place. But I remember getting to that album, and after going through it, and critically examining everything up to that point, and then jumping into this new CD or whatever in the chronology, it just blew me away. And the quality jump from Ringmaster up to Riddlebox and all the content of the song, I just love every single song. Yeah. It's a really packaged album.
It's a remarkable leap. From Ringmaster to Riddlebox is stunning.
And so it was experiencing that journey sort of with them, right? Because that's kind of what we're trying to do here, is go with their progress or whatever. It just felt like really reaffirming, how much I like and appreciate that album.
Absolutely. How about for the least for you? What held up the least?
It's the same as Steve.
It's Riddlebox.
No, it's Jekyll Brothers. I would have put Jekyll Brothers really high up if I had to rank ICP. And honestly, after doing this project, I think it's just kind of falling down the list.
Yeah. I will absolutely agree with you guys with the least. It's got to be Jekyll Brothers. Jekyll Brothers has undeniably a handful of tracks that are absolutely all-timers, absolutely phenomenal. But as an entire album, Jekyll Brothers it ain't shit anymore, man. It is not a good full album. It's the correct full album they needed to put out at the time. But I think because of that, it's very much just locked in the time period and the circumstances under which they released that album, I think.
That's a good point.
Yeah. It is exactly the album they needed to make after what happened with Great Malenko, and it got the success it did, and it's so firmly tied to every circumstance around them making and putting out that album that it really shows. It doesn't sort of have any anything looking forward. It doesn't have anything any promises of what they would become. It is just the Jekyll Brothers album. And I think because of that, it was great for us at the time. It was what we needed when we needed it and when we got it. But 20 years later or whatever, it is no more than what it was. It is much less.
I think that album being what it was in 99, and it's very 99, is how refreshing it made Bizarre Bizarre be when those were released in 2000.
Great point.
I mean, I like it for what it is, for being one of the original Six Jokers cards and all of that. It's got it has a place, but I was surprised going back and listening to it that I thought it would be more, I don't know, impactful or whatever, I guess.
Yeah. It's very strange for all of it. I mean, it's not strange because all three of us felt the same way. So that means that we're right. But there are Fuck the World is incredible. Mad Professor is always going to be fun.
Mad Professor is so great.
If not for the skits. If for the skits, then nothing else. And I Want My Shit. And then, Steve and I will always, I think, have a soft spot for the very last track. Which I think is great. But even the album, I think the songs on that album that I listened to the least were kind of the best. Echo Side is pretty cool to me now, and I never liked that song before. But I mean, the album as a whole, I just so disappointed in going back and listening to. It's these aren't bangers, as it turns out. It's mostly Jerky Boys skits.
They just felt like less better versions of Great Malenko songs.
I think they understood, and they understood. Like, it was their big explosion of fans. It was their mainstream success that they were having as a result of controversy, and their label absolutely expected another Great Malenko, and they understood that that's what the label expected, and that's what probably most of the fans expected, so they did it again. And, you know, at the time, it was exactly what they needed to do, but it really shows. Like we just said, like, the leap between Carnival of Carnage and Ringmaster is very big. And the leap between Ringmaster and Riddlebox, I feel, is, like, astronomical. And the leap between Riddlebox and Malenko is, like, you know, it's noticeable. Or, I mean, it's not like...
I'd say it's still significant.
But then Malenko to Jekyll Brothers is lateral. If that. It's just the same one again, and I feel it's the only one of the 6 Jokers cards that does not show growth in at least some respect from one to the next.
Yeah, it's a pretty angry album as well. I think
for sure.
I just feel like that it's like Great Malenko but extreme.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and like, they wanted to do Great Malenko, but they wanted to do it a little bit more, and, like, in the service of, like, servicing the mainstream. Like, I know they didn't really service the mainstream, but in the service of, like, doing what was expected of them at the time, like, they actually ended up shooting themselves in the foot as well. Like, they could have just changed one lyric, and then they wouldn't have pissed off, like, the Beastie Boys manager, like, one of the most, like, and, like, some of the biggest, like, agents and studios and the entire music industry, and, like, maybe they would have kept their growth on an upward trajectory. I mean, in some senses they did, but, like, you know, you understand what I'm talking about.
I don't know. They're like darlings, right? Everybody thinks of them as these cute guys and non-threatening now.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that could have happened a little bit earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Maybe they would have been respected a little bit earlier. Maybe they would have gotten to do a track with the Beastie Boys while the Beastie Boys are still around, you know, like, who knows? Because that would have been pretty cool, honestly. Like, I would have been into that. I'm sure they would have been into it as well. But anyway, I think what probably held up the most is Riddlebox. It is, like, legitimately a masterpiece of an album. And I think that had I been like Ryan and listened to Riddlebox before Malenko, like, it would definitely be my favorite of the Joker's cards, or the first 6 Joker's cards. Malenko, like, I feel like looking back, I can say that while I like Malenko as an album better, I can admit to myself that the reason I do is because of nostalgia and because it's the first thing I heard. And I realized that my feelings about these 2 albums are extremely tied to nostalgia. I don't think I listened to all of Riddlebox until after Jekyll Brothers came out. So, like, I freely admit and acknowledge, like, the only reason I like Malenko better is because I didn't hear Riddlebox before I heard it. And it's because of those memories of, like, Steve sitting on the floor of my living room playing me tracks off of Great Malenko on a portable CD player, or maybe it was even on cassette, but just, like, so great. Like, it's just some of my fondest memories, and, like, some of my fondest, like, musical sense memories. So, like, I can't ever divorce myself of that, but it's easy for me to admit that, like, Riddlebox is absolutely a masterpiece of an album, and I don't know that I can say that about Malenko. I think Malenko is great as far as, I think Malenko is close to perfect as far as, like, how I feel about it, but I think objectively, like, Riddlebox is, like, just a complete fantastic thing. And by that same token, I think that the Wraith Shangri-La is really fantastic. I've always liked it, but I think that Shangri-La really holds up, in my opinion. And, like, even, like the songs that I've never been, like, mega into, like, seeing ICP do an acoustic version of Crossing the Bridge on their Halloween show and stuff, like, man, that song was pretty good. I really like Shangri-La.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Shangri-La is dope. In general appreciated all the music a lot more than I did before, but so it's not saying something new about this record, but yeah, man, Shangri-La, I was surprised. I experienced that with Shangri-La, you know. That's the thing that I wanted to happen with Jekyll Brothers that didn't, but go back and listen to Shangri-La and I was super pumped up about it. Loved it.
Awesome. Final thoughts here before we move on to the next question.
So I definitely agree liking more songs off of Shangri-La, listening to it the second time through. But as much as you're talking about your love for Riddlebox, which I definitely agree is an amazing album, I still like Ringmaster better.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I remember saying that back when we were in the early days recording, and you guys whipped me with a cat of nine tails, and but I still stand by it.
I will say this. As far as listening, like not as far as a live experience, but as far as listening to the track, the original Chicken Huntin', I think, has overtaken the Slaughterhouse remix for me.
Huh, nice.
That's amazing.
It's so chill. It's just
It is.
it's a groove, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't say that you're wrong.
Yeah. I also can't stop thinking about how much more perfect would Malenko be if like Piggy Pie and Under the Moon weren't on? Like there's a couple of tracks where it's like,
Yeah.
there's just like a few tracks where it's like, nah, I don't need to listen to this song because it's like, but I don't
Especially
feel
Under
like
the Moon.
Yeah, I don't feel like there are any tracks like that on Riddlebox though. It's like it's a really just
Riddlebox is it's a good package. It's all tied up.
They're on point. Like they don't lose focus.
Yeah, and there's some kind of like a raw cinematic quality to every track on that album. There's this that I don't know. They're reaching beyond, you know, what they have at hand to make something that's larger and more special.
Absolutely. So the next question I had for you guys was, which thing that you hadn't heard before did you like the most and the least?
For me, and I'm basically answering these questions full albums. Like the thing that I hadn't heard that I liked the most was probably Hatchet Hero, the
ABK. Hatchet Warrior.
Hatchet Warrior. Like, I really, really was super surprised. Well, I just really thought I hadn't heard that. Most of the stuff that we've listened to, that I hadn't heard, I don't like as much as I liked that album.
Mm-hmm.
And the one I liked the least that I had never heard was the second Dark Lotus album, Black Rain.
Yeah. What I hadn't heard before that I liked the least was probably either Colton Grundy the Undying. Well, I can't. No, what I liked the least that I hadn't heard before of the stuff that we've covered on this podcast is is Master of the Flying Guillotine. The Jump Steady album. Because Colton Grundy, like, I didn't like it at all, but like not because it like wasn't like I would put on Colton Grundy 1,000,000 times before I'd ever listen to another one of the before I listened to the Jump Steady LP again.
Hey man, I feel like I would definitely rock Master of the Flying Guillotine before I would listen to Chaos Theory. I mean,
yeah, okay, I don't. Yeah, okay, I don't like. Okay, let's just say Jump Steady.
I didn't categorically the whole man.
I didn't expect it to be good. Jump Steady seems like a fine individual. He seems pleasant on all of the things. You know, he's got a family he loves. That's respectable. He created a bunch of tabletop games or whatever.
He's a hard worker.
Whatever, yeah, he's hustling, man. You gotta. I mean, I would expect that, you know, Violent J would not tolerate a sibling who wasn't a hustler.
He's also very tall.
Find a new place to live. He's very tall. Yeah, he's Evil Dead, man. He's a great wrestler. Let's never forget he's Evil Dead. But yeah, actually, you know what? Fuck it, Road Fools. That sucks. I don't like Road Fools. Road Fools is my least favorite of the stuff we've listened to so far. Absolutely. Wow. And my biggest surprise to me, first, is how much I ended up being Stockholm syndromed into liking the rock tracks on Mutant. That's the first biggest surprise to me, because as I painstakingly laid out, the first time that first rock track came on, I was so horrified and embarrassed for myself that I was listening to the album in headphones and hoping no one was hearing what I was hearing. And by the time we actually recorded that episode, I was like, these tracks are very good, guys. That's the first thing I'm surprised by. The second thing I'm surprised by, and I will say something that holds up. I will give an honorable mention to a thing that I had heard that holds up the most. The ABK version of the first Dark Lotus album. Holy shit!
Nice,
Like,
good call.
Bad editing at all. Like the levels being a little bit off. Like the first Dark Lotus album is fucking incredible, and ABK fits in that album so much better than Mars does. And like the Mars tracks that we liked so much, like, are really reprehensible. Like the Mars tracks that we liked so much at the time are like real gross and like unnecessarily over the top. But like ABK just like fits in real good, and like he doesn't really have any like super memorable verses on it, but like the album is undeniably incredibly good,
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
no.
Ryan, and now Ryan, and Ryan, go.
The thing I like the least is Mutant by Twisted. But you know what, man? And the reason why I'm choosing this is because
Road Fools to Mutant.
yes.
Oh wow.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I'll bump Road Fools. Is in recording these episodes and talking about them, honestly, I think I mentioned in one of the episodes that I was kind of worried going in that I didn't really have too much to say, because, and I listened to the record, I listened to the tracks over a dozen times, like more than anything that I've ever had to listen to for this podcast, and couldn't dig up things to say about them just because it just wasn't resonating with me. I wasn't connecting with it. And then when we recorded the episodes and hear you guys talk about them, especially Bill, the things that you liked about it, it made me appreciate the songs so much more and the album so much more. And now I go back and it's something I've listened to a few of those songs, you know, and actually even talking to V-Ron too, and she's talking about driving into the city, you know, with the windows down at night. And I'm like, I get it. I fucking get it, you know? And it makes me appreciate it so much more. So am I going to say that I love those songs now, or I'm a big fan? No, but I really appreciate what they are. I'm so glad that we listened to them, you know, and it makes it rich, the experience, and makes it more real. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Shit, you were saying something. Fucked up. Yeah, no. You are correct. Hooray.
And then for things that I hadn't heard before, things that I like the best, is actually maybe a good segue to the next part, because we made these top 10 lists and I limited myself to, things that were newly exposed to me through this podcast to make my top 10 list.
Oh, I just want to interject real quick. I don't think I had heard Beverly Kills before we did this podcast, and fuck that EP. If I had listened to it before, I did not pay close attention to it. I think I covered the third. I think we have all covered the third question I asked of you guys in text message. So shall we move on to our top 10 list?
Let's do it.
All right. Who wants to start? All right, I'll start.
I mean, you like. I'll go if you want me
to. My top 10 list is not in any order. It's not actually. Oh boy, I hope it's saved. Okay, there it is. My top 10 list is not in any. It's not ranked. I think Steve's is ranked, but mine is not ranked. It's just a top 10. But first, I must. I have some honorable mentions that I want to touch on. Take Me Home off of Forgotten Fresh Volume 3, which is. It was close to making my list, but it's just on the corny side of being a corny anthem. But I do like Take Me Home a lot. And maybe if it didn't have the Rude Boy intro, or is it Jumpsteady, who's like, isn't it funny how like the hands of a clock, sometimes when you're poor, you wish you could stay poor, whatever that intro spiel
Oh
is.
wow! It could be you could be either of them there. I didn't realize how much they sound like each other.
They're the same person.
Yeah, could be either.
Yeah, and because they're both just Violent J with the gain turned down.
Right.
$85 an hour. Absolutely a classic. One of my all-time favorites. But a little just a bit too gimmicky to it's not really a real song. It's got like the hooks are them just fucking with the phone book. So gang related, ABK, honorable mention. Grave Ain't No Place, the best Blaze song I've ever heard at this point in our listening to stuff. Shiny Diamonds and The Wizard's Palace off of Wizard of the Hood, both incredible. Hound Dogs off of Most Tasteless, and by the same token, Juggalo Homies, because I really like the songs that all the guys used to do together, especially when they were about happy stuff. So those are my honorable mentions. Here's my top 10 list. 3 Rings, absolutely got to be on
Hell
there.
yeah.
Incredible song, unbelievable. Also liked the acoustic version they did of that. Headless Boogie, a song that every time I think about it, it gets better. Also those two are off of Riddlebox. Yeah, Headless Boogie
is an amazing song.
Incredible. Yeah. And We Danced off of Dark Lotus. I believe I may have texted this to you guys, but I think that Violet J's verse on that track is a perfect rap verse. I said your boobies, may I hold them? And look at me, I'm naked early. Like it's just
God.
It's fucking, and the music is so good. So and We Danced, I had to put on there. Crystal Ball, the last song off of the Bizarre Bazaars. It's like 1 million minutes long. It is so good. It's maybe the platonic ideal of it's either this or Pass Me By. That's the platonic ideal of a closing ballad on an ICP album. But Crystal Ball I absolutely love. My fifth one on the list here, Juggalo Paradise off of the Bazaars. Go to work at Subway, slicing ham, cut my finger off again. Damn.
Oh, damn.
It's so good. It's a really, really good song. Off of Shangri-La, The Staleness.
Yeah. Love that song.
It's so fucking good, guys. It's just such a beautiful little nugget of everything that ICP is all about, especially at that point in their careers. Dumpin', which is the hardest I've ever heard any of these guys go. It's undeniably a great song. This one could be swapped out with any of the ones on my honorable mention any day, any given day, any given hour, any given minute. But at the moment, sorry to say, Off the Chain by Twisted. My top 10.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
My ninth one, Cartoon Nightmares off of Forgotten Freshness Volume 3.
Yeah.
Another example of like just everything that ICP's about, and unbelievable every time I see them play it live. Ryan, we got to see it live at Juggalo Day in LA right before the world ended, so that was really cool. And then my 10th track, guys, I regret to inform you, my 10th track on my top 10 of the stuff we've listened to so far is, in fact, Who Am I? Off of Twisted Mutant Volume 2, which is a song that can only be listened while sitting next to Rob Zombie, who is driving the Dragula, while you're on the way to solve a mystery.
Brilliant.
Well done.
Love it, man.
And we are just so y'all know, check the episode description, check the Instagram, check the Twitter, because we are going to be putting up a public playlist that includes all of the tracks from our top 10. And where there's overlap, obviously we won't put the tracks on twice, but yeah, it's going to have all of our top 10s. If Ryan wants to include the honorable mentions, he may. But yeah, let's look forward to y'all being able to bump that. And of course, email us dimcarnival@gmail.com and tell us your top 10. But let's get to the next one. I'm eager to see what these guys had put together.
You want to go, homie, or want me to go?
I'll go next.
All right.
So, like I said, Bill brought up this idea and I sat down, I started listening to stuff and I started making a list. And what I started to feel right away was something that was one of my favorite.
Shame.
What's that?
I said what you started to feel right away was regret, shame.
I thought of, there's a YouTube channel that I like called Toy Galaxy, and Dan from Toy Galaxy, every year he ranks the toys that he bought that year, the action figures, and he has he suffers through it, and it's one of my most favorite things to watch. Is him agonize over trying to pull out his top 10 figures that he bought that year. And one of the things that he really struggles with is combating nostalgia. And so that was something that I found I was having a hard time doing, because I could pick 10 tracks off of, the original 6 Jokers cards and have that be my top 10 list. And those would be like the 10 best ICP songs to me, or probably something like that. What I decided
I purposefully did not pick anything off of Malenko, because I wanted to try and, like, at first I was like, I'm going to try and stick to like 10 things that like I hadn't listened to much or I hadn't listened to before, but that wasn't right either. I mean, there's like so many tracks off of Malenko that I feel like could have made it onto here, like Hocus Pocus, Pass Me By, maybe a couple other ones, but like just when I was thinking about like top 10, like none of them spoke to me on a pure like this is the best track I heard while we were making the podcast level, but like through the haze of nostalgia, like all of them are the best tracks I've ever heard. So
yeah, no, it's I think that's why it's such a fun question, is because I can interpret it a completely different way or whatever, and we can get some really fun answers out of it, some different answers. So what I ended up doing was choosing like my top 10 most appreciated songs that were influenced by this podcast. Like, it was because of listening to it through this podcast, and these are the songs that have become 10 of my favorite ICP Psychopathic Records tracks. The first one is, and these aren't in order, I didn't rank them in order. Twisted, We Don't Die, off of Freak Show. So
that was close to making my list as well.
Yeah, I did not appreciate Freak Show when it came out, so I have a newfound appreciation for it, especially the video. Steve and I did this music video on one of the episodes that we did together. And I think it was that episode when I really developed the appreciation for the track, the giant Ouija board,
Yeah.
the aesthetics of the music video are really great. There's some cool special effects. And it made me appreciate the song even more. It's got this great driving electric guitar, that I just really appreciate. So,
I think that like I would like, I honestly like, I think like there's so much cool stuff on here, but like Freak Show to me stands apart from the other Twisted album. I'm sorry to just start.
No, please.
The other thing, I think Freak Show really stands apart from like, especially the 2 albums that it's between. Like, it stands apart from those albums because like it doesn't sound like any other Twisted album at all, and I think that's to its detriment. Like, there's such good tracks on here that like, and such good concepts on Freak Show, but like I listen to Freak Show less than I should because I think that the production, like Sister Soros's Sound Squad or whatever is fucking producing it, like whoever that is, if it's just Fritz the Cat or another name, like whoever it is, like I think it really drags it down, and I would really love to see Twisted take Freak Show and do what they did with Mutant Volume 2, where it's like, let's take the tracks and let's bring them into what Twisted sounds like now. Because I think that they were going for a specific thing on Freak Show and accomplished it, but that isn't necessarily what Twisted sounds like. But it's just, there's like We Don't Die and Fall Apart, and a handful of other tracks are like so fucking good, and like I would really like to hear them with other music under them, or at least like take the same music and like get better. 'Cause I think it's something that could be accomplished by like just taking the existing music, but like not fucking it up. Like the guitars are like over processed and like the mix is all fucking weird and there's too much distortion on a lot of stuff.
You know what it always reminded me of is the Metallica's And Justice for All album. It's all this really good guitar. There's no bass on that album.
They did not put the bass on the album. That's true.
Yeah, that's what's so weird about it.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. Yes, I totally agree. But just the whole like I swallow razor blades and spit up blood. Like that's like the best way an album could possibly start.
Yeah, there's some bangers on it, but yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, by all means. Next I have this is another track that Steve and I did together off the Wizard of the Hood Collector's Edition. It's Violent J's My Shine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good call.
Shiny Diamonds era. Knowing the history of leading up to it at that point and how just this unstoppable, can't be stopped track of Violent J just singing about the Shiny Diamonds era. Like it makes you feel bulletproof. Listen to it. Monoxide's solo Chainsmoker LP. Number one track for me was Blaze. Love the smoke, the weed track obviously, but Monoxide solo record, just really appreciate the effort. Love the whole record. I was excited to listen to it because I know Steve liked it. This track in particular, it's like a menthol cigarette. It's like super cool. It's got a great chorus.
Fucking nerd.
Love Blaze. Next one, you said it, Bill. ICP Cartoon Nightmares Forgotten Freshness Volume 3.
Oh yeah.
You had played this for me before. I recognized part of the chorus when we listened to it again. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys both have kind of a history with Forgotten Freshness Volume 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That you guys had both listened to it quite a bit. And it was a brand new record to me. And I know, Bill, you had played it for me before, but it just didn't sink in. Booty in the Pants, love that shit. Another song with a great chorus, the fucking guitar and it's so wild, all the different parts just smashed together. So much fun.
Perfect.
Next one on my list is Zug Island, the cover of Cry off their album Crack Tiles. This, I love Lost Boys. Always loved that track. It wasn't like my favorite track on the soundtrack at all by any means. This version is better than the original in my opinion, and it's mostly to do with that synth bass that comes in for the chorus. Just fucking smashes you over the head. Love that shit. I love the way they tweak the words in the verse to little ICP
I don't
references.
think any of us expected to like Zug Island.
Yeah, and I know it's a cover song, but like I think they do enough with it, and like I said, it's better than the original. I will listen to this any day over the original. Love it, absolutely love it.
I also like it.
I mentioned Wizard of the Hood before, but I have to have another track off of Wizard of the Hood. You said it before on your honorable mentions, The Wizard's Palace, Violent J.
So good.
The music, the fucking horns, the blasting horn section, Violent J's first solo record, the history there, ABK's cameo, and the way they handle that on the track is so good. The technical creative choices of having Shaggy's voice box break in the middle of his verse, so many incredible choices. The way that Shaggy solves everything, doesn't do anything, like it's so perfect, it's so wonderful. Love it.
It's a song that Steve likes so much that he references it on every episode when there's a faulty wire. Honestly, I think that song has maybe Shaggy's finest delivery of any line he's ever delivered in his career when he says, "Still in time for danger, my friend." Tin Man ran and disbanded the curtain. It was just some fool in a fuck off shirt.
Fuck fucking stellar, man. Love that shit.
Like, how can you not like that? It's impossible.
The truth is that is my favorite song on that record, but that whole record is so good, and the idea, how they pulled it off, and everybody's role that they played in making it happen is fucking magic, man. Fucking incredible.
And everyone hates each other, so.
Yeah, well, yep. Nothing gold can stay.
Yeah.
Next one, speaking of ICP, Off the Track, on the Calm.
Oh, hell yeah.
The whole atmosphere, the whole vibe, I'm just really feeling that. I'm at that place in my life right now, like what's next, and there's so much possibilities. I just feel like maybe there's hope on the horizon, whatever. I'm going to try to do what I can, and that's what this song makes me think of, ICP at that stage in their career, at the end of the six Joker's cards had fallen,
Yeah. That track and Rolling Over are both way up there for me.
Yeah, Rolling Over is spectacular.
And your favorite team, Mannequin.
No, I do have a twisted track coming up, but not that one. Next I got Blaze You Dead Homie, Thug for Life off One Less G in the Hood.
Nice.
It's the one that has the really spacey beat. It's all and it's like a vocoder chorus. I have no idea what that person's saying except when they go psychopathic.
That album's really good, and it's a bummer that Colton Grundy isn't that good.
I mean, I love One Less G in the Hood. Like, we listened to that, and I feel like all of us just were like, whoa, this is way better than we were all expecting. So still looking forward to everything that's coming up Blazy Dead Homie, because I know that there's stuff. Sure. I know there's stuff that he's made that I love.
He's so talented. Yeah.
All right, here's the next twisted track. Off a recent One Man's Myth, So High. Fucking classic all-time weed smoking song. It's got a sweet synth beat in it. ABK Drive By. Oh wait, no wait, that's on the Blazy Dead Homie track. But it's got the old synth beat, super dope. Love it. And this is the one I think Steve said that he could put on with his friends when they're smoking and they don't even notice that it's twisted or whatever.
Yep.
So that's a seal of approval on the track.
Yeah.
And then last one, this is actually probably the only song that I consistently listen to, that I seek out and listen to since the moment we listened to the record. And it's in my heavy rotation of all my songs since we listened to it. And it's Anybody Killa, Hatchet Warrior. The track is Yanedin's Haunted. I've listened to this track a million fucking times since we listened to Hatchet Warrior. I fucking love this. And actually, I still listen to like In the City. I listen to that all the time, the cover of In the City. But it's got the horror movie clip intro. It's got a banging beat. It's hilarious. It's got all the different monsters that it references. It's got incredible chorus. And it even has Bugs on My Nugs as a palate cleanser, or whatever the opposite of a palate cleanser is. A palate ruiner. Yeah, love it.
Fantastic. Good list, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I like that you were like basically like you cast a wide net of bringing the things in. I am very pleasantly surprised at how much we all liked Hatchet Warrior and One Less G in the Hood. I mean, I knew I liked One Less G in the Hood, but I'm glad that it held up as proving to myself that I was correct to have liked that album.
Hell yeah.
And now, best for last. Let's hear it, Steve. Let's do it.
Oh, don't say best for last. Come on now.
Best for last.
Nah, so I probably predictably for you guys, because you know me so well, did base this on nostalgia and what is my absolute favorite ICP songs and how thrilled I was to cover them. And so my list is probably pretty predictable. And I also listed it as close as I possibly could to being ranked 10 to 1. And so I'm going to go through it, and please don't mock me. I purposely chose all ICP songs.
Well, no, you had a really good explanation for that, so, that I would like you to share.
Oh boy, I wasn't expecting that. Okay, yeah, well, one of the reasons why is because I tolerate listening to all the other bands, and I love Twisted, but I still tolerate them because they are a part of the Insane Clown Posse. I love ICP so much and what they have created and the world, the universe they created. And to me, everybody else are just pieces to help them tell an overall story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how and so when I went through and picked songs, not only did I pick like just songs that were super sentimental to me, but they were songs that I almost was like telling myself, if I could only listen to these 10 ICP songs for the rest of my life, which 10 would they be? And I know that's not what you asked me, but I'm just crazy and stupid sometimes. So that's a
good rationale, man. I think that's a fine rationale.
Oh.
And I think that you're absolutely correct in that everyone else's story is in service of the ICP story, and I think that is absolutely by design. Like that is why they constructed their roster and their gimmicks and their discography like this for Psychopathic Records. Is like, it's all the Dark Carnival. We're the spokesman of the Dark Carnival, and y'all will funnel your stories through our story.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why most of those people aren't there anymore.
And fair enough. But you know, and so that's where that was my approach, and I hope it still is interesting, because the way you guys approached it was very interesting, and mine may not seem like so shocking, because you two people know what I already love. So, but I'm going to go through and just explain how I bounced around and what I went through, and I hope you guys enjoy my list. So I started off with my number 10 is my Funhouse off Ringmaster.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it encompasses everything that wanted to be expressed in that album in a way that had the music and the lyrics that I just personally like the best from it. I just think that song is amazing, and it is very much a part of the overarching story of the Dark Carnival and who ICP is and will become. So yep, my Funhouse. My number 9 is Never Had It Made off Carnival of Carnage. You guys are so disappointed, I can already tell.
No way, man. That's like the first real ICP track.
Which I Never Had It Made.
Yeah.
That song is so great to me. Just for not just being the best song on Carnival of Carnage, personally to me, I feel like it's the most interesting music wise. It in a way reminds me of like hardcore music, where it almost feels like it's two songs smashed together, but it works. I love the idea of like Violent J being at the pearly gates and like trying to tell St. Peter why he deserves to go to heaven because of how fucked up his life was in the beginning. Like, he's all innocent and all this fucked up stuff keeps happening to him, but he's still like going to school even though he's getting shot in the neck and stabbed in the head with a pencil and all these like just I love it. And then like the poor bastard becomes a crack addict and he's got his old ET shirt, and the way the music hits in that, and that's important, especially on Carnival of Carnage, where I feel like the music is awful and the rapping's usually really awful. So I just like, this song is so important to me and to that album in my perspective. So yeah, Never Had It Made was number 9 for me. Number 8, which I have to admit, kind of bounced between 3 songs, and I whittled it down. But it had to be, and it's off Riddlebox, and I ended up with Joker's Wild.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
battled with Old Evil Eye, to be honest,
Ooh.
with what I liked better. But I think if I had to only listen to 10 songs, again, I don't know why I did that to myself, but that the Joker's Wild would still encompass, again, everything the Riddle Box was, but also it's fun and it's just, yeah, I mean, God, I don't have to explain that song. It's a banger. It's hilarious and it's amazing.
Fuck yeah.
But you could say, Old Evil Eye and I'm Coming Home were, the other ones that I kind of fought with. So you could say those two were, how did you, say that earlier, Bill, songs
Could
that didn't
fluctuate at any given time.
No. You said the song, noticeable,
Honorable mention?
honorable mentions. Good Lord. Sorry. Thank you. So those would be kind of more honorable.
Noticeable omissions.
Noticeable night emission.
Gross.
My number 7 is Everybody
I don't know
Rock.
why you turning the term nocturnal emission into night emission makes it so much grosser, but sure enough.
My number 7 was Everybody Rise.
Oh, like yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge banger. I mean, I kind of like went back and forth between I Want My Shit Terrible and Everybody Rise, but I ultimately was like, no, it's Everybody Rise for me personally. Then number 6, I jumped to The Wraith, Shangri-La, and you guys are probably gonna think I'm crazy for this, but Welcome to the Show.
No, it's fucking fantastic. I love that song.
Yeah. I guess I feel like that song does such an amazing job to make you feel so happy, so great, and tells you what this album's going to be, that if you don't even listen to the album, you can just walk away from being like, I bet you that's a good album.
Yeah. It's something that I just clicked for me, which, maybe I'm misremembering or maybe this is unintentional. I feel like the first verse in that track, Violent J's voice is so pitched up and high. Maybe that's like intentional to be like a throwback to Carnival of Carnage, and then like their voices get like modern day, like lower over the course of the album.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
Oh. So I'm gonna go. There's gonna be some songs off Malenko, obviously. My number 5 is Hocus Pocus.
Nice.
Yeah.
How could you not, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first real rap song I ever heard them do. And it's amazing. I love the remix video, even though it's edited. It's a good remix. Still pales in comparison to the actual studio album version of the song. But I really wish I could see a mashup of the video with the studio album. I don't know if it would match up very well, but so yeah, love Hocus Pocus. They do a brilliant job of telling you who they were, are, and where they're gonna go. Perfect. Number 4, I'm gonna jump to Bzar and Juggalo Paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sweating again.
I always do.
I love it. I love that song. It makes me so happy to hear. I like playing it for people and saying this song is brilliant, and them looking at me like I'm insane. Just, them talking about ninjas and putting tornadoes in headlocks. I'm like, how can you not like that?
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to jump back. So that was number 4. Number 3 is back to Great Malenko, House of Horrors.
Interesting.
I just will always love that song. It is, obviously very reminiscent to songs off of Riddle Box and Ringmaster, of people going to a house and being murdered, and it also being funny, and it will be a trope that's used multiple times, but it's one of my favorites. And then, sorry, so there's going to be 3 off of Malenko for me. Very predictable of me. So number 2 is Down with the Clown.
Nice.
You can't sit there and talk about how much you love ICP and not say that you're down with the clown. And it is an absolutely brilliant song, and I love it. And my number 1 is Mr. Happy off the Czar.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mr. Happy, fucking greatest ICP song ever made. Almost second to Jacob's Word, which I didn't have on my list at all, but
Well, we haven't listened to
Right,
it
we
yet.
haven't covered
exactly.
it. Yeah.
I think that
on.
when we finally get there, we probably have to do an entire episode on Jacob's Word.
No.
I think did I actually float this, or did I just think about floating this that our episode 100 should just be Jacob's Word?
I think you did. I think you did mention that in text.
Anyway, I'm glad we did this instead.
Yeah.
No, great list, guy.
Yeah, amazing list, Steve. Love it.
Yeah, I'm excited to listen to this Spotify playlist.
Hell yeah, it's gonna bang.
Surprisingly little overlap. I think there were only 3 total tracks in common with each other.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Pretty diverse.
Good job, everybody. Good job. It's almost as if taste is subjective. All right. Well, let me float this question to you guys. In the year 2021, as we reflect on 100 episodes of listening to Psychopathic Records releases, as we reflect on 20 years or so of listening to this band and these bands, gentlemen, do you now, on the official public record, consider yourself a juggalo?
Wow, Steve, you answered so fast.
No offense. No.
Not a
Ryan?
juggalo. Yeah, I'm a fucking juggalo, man. I like absolutely. I think it was sealed when we went to go see them at the Fearless Fred Fury CD release. Seeing them live again, it sparks something, you know.
Yeah.
And I like, I wouldn't say, part of me wants to say no, because I feel like there's a part of the juggalo identity that's like struggle or whatever, and so there, I don't know, there's certain things that ICP rap about that I haven't experienced firsthand, and so I don't want to front and say that I'm like whatever. What I think part of, you guys know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So, but in terms of like fandom, or in terms of, you know, appreciation for what ICP is trying to do, definitely want to be associated with that and appreciating that. And so if being a fan of the Dark Carnival and wanting to be a part of it, you know, if that's what makes me a juggalo, if that's what makes a person a juggalo, then yes, definitely.
Nice.
Can I elaborate a little bit why mine's a no?
Yeah, please.
It has a lot to do. I don't talk about like my actual religious beliefs and what I practice in private. But first off, I guess just the idea of labeling myself different things further adds to a belief system that I don't want to be a part of. I know that's very vague, so I apologize for that. So I don't really identify myself as much of anything in most things ever. And also, if it wasn't for this podcast, because of my religious beliefs, so to speak, I wouldn't actually be listening to ICP at all. Because it's very negative. And I do this because I enjoy it with you guys so much. And I'm not going to lie that I don't love the music, because that would be a lie to say I didn't. But it's also sometimes a struggle for me to do this, especially if it's songs I don't really care for. So those are the major reasons why now I just don't identify with being a juggalo. I don't even think it would be right for me to even say I'm a juggalo, kind of a thing. So
Nice.
Cool.
I do not consider myself a juggalo. I never have. I've never once called myself a juggalo. I have not screamed it everywhere that I go. But I am absolutely a fan of the music and of the band and of the people, and I've never been shy or embarrassed about that. It has nothing to do with like embarrassment or like, I think there's a level of it, of what Ryan said, like, I don't want to presume to be a poser. That's part of it for sure, of like, I don't really identify with like what I understand people who like, I don't really identify with what I understand juggaloism to be. And, you know, I think that like, I don't think there is a dogma or a doctrine or an outline or a rule book of what a juggalo is or isn't, other than putting nuts in soup. But there's never been anything that has moved me to be like, this is my identity, this is who I am, and this is what I consider myself. And I say that as someone who has an ICP tattoo. But it's never been something that's made sense for me to call myself. I don't consider myself that. I consider myself a fan, like very much a fan, and an enthusiast and a connoisseur of this music, and a chronicler and an archivist, and all the stuff we are doing on this podcast, and very much love this stuff. Gonna keep listening to it forever. But there's nothing about there's just something about like putting that specific label on myself that I don't think is correct. I just don't think that it describes me. I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. I don't know if that makes sense. It just when I think about like, am I a juggalo? It doesn't feel authentic for me to call myself that.
I guess the way that I think about it is, if I told anybody that I did this podcast and we did 100 episodes or whatever, they'd be like, wow, you must really love ICP music. And I'm like, well, I certainly appreciate it. Like, yeah, I like a lot of it. And like, well, are you a juggalo? And I would say, well, no, I'm not a juggalo. Well, why would I say that? They think I am. So, and so that's where I lie, is like, I wouldn't say that I'm a juggalo. I'm like, as being the predominant part of my identity, I guess, if there's people who even are like that. But if somebody thought I was a juggalo, I certainly wouldn't be offended, and I would understand. I'd be like, if a juggalo thought I was a juggalo, I'd be like, well, I get it. I fucking listen to a shitload of ICP. Like, I love ICP. So
yeah.
It is what it is, man. But
Yeah.
I think that in terms of like solidarity and those kinds of things, like, yeah, I just don't want to be a poser and say that I'm something that I'm not.
Nice. That's I don't want to. That's one of the reasons I don't want to call myself that. So anyway, just interesting to check in there. We'll check in again on episode 200 when I'm 60, and we'll talk about it. When my son is a juggalo. This was a lot of fun, guys, as always. Any final thoughts as we embark on the road to the second deck, as we embark on the road to our next 100 episodes, as we embark on the road to talking about an album we're absolutely not going to like next week?
Just want to say thanks to you guys for doing the show with me. Thanks to everybody who listens. Thanks to everybody who, like Bill said earlier, anybody that contacts us. We love getting your emails. Send us DMs, comment on Instagram. It's brings a lot of karma, as they say. We appreciate it.
So, seriously though, demcarnival@gmail.com. Send us your top 10 of the tracks up to this point through Mutant Volume 2. Tell us how we stack up against your favorite stuff. And of course, as I was going back through this stuff, like, we skipped a lot of shit in the service of like getting to Shangri-La and Hell's Pit, like, because we knew the clock was ticking on what we were doing with my kid coming and everything. So like, we are well aware we skipped a lot of stuff, and we're gonna have to double back at some point. So
right. We'll keep that in mind, Bill.
Yeah,
I do.
You are the master of
keeps
time
him
here.
up at night.
Yeah.
That's all I think about.
Just don't lose your constant.
Not pennies. Boat. Steve? Thoughts?
Oh, sorry. Just it's incredibly fun. You guys have, made me appreciate something that I didn't think I'd ever appreciate again, and really, really love and remember fond memories that I probably wouldn't have really randomly thought about. Just being able to hang out and talk with you guys, as we do this is always just amazing to me. And I just continue to look forward to hearing other great music. I know there's other songs that are be coming up in the future that I know I love, and I'm really looking forward to music I haven't heard. and talking a lot of shit about it because I'll probably hate most of it. So
well, yeah.
yeah.
Now we're in uncharted waters with Steve now, so
we're getting there. Yeah. Yep.
Well, it's coming.
Yeah.
Steve's gonna start. We're gonna reach a point, and Steve's gonna hate every single track that we listen to.
Oh, it's gonna be so glorious. I was surprised. I actually have more second deck Joker cards than I thought.
Nice.
They're on my iPad.
I'm really looking forward to like Bing Pow Boom.
I know, I am too. And the Mighty Death Pop.
Yeah, because like legit, if we were up through Bang Pow Boom, there's no way Bang Pow Boom would not be on my top 10. That song is unbelievable. All right.
Oh yeah, I mean, if the Tempest was on here, I would have had a song on Tempest for sure.
Growing Again?
Shut up.
Okay.
It might be I Do This.
Perfect. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, but it could be I Do.
It could be.
Those two songs.
Next week, we're going to get back to business as usual, as we discussed on episode 98. We will be talking about supervillains, Furious. We're talking about the whole album. We're not going track by track. We're just going to cover all this grossness in one shot and get it over with in a specific week. So Supervillains, Furious, the only Supervillains album. If you're having trouble finding it, it is SOOPA space VILLAINZ Supervillains. Like it sound. That's our assignment next week. I know that Steve is excited about it. I know that Ryan is excited about it. I know that people who love slurs are excited about it. So that's what we're talking about next week. Supervillains. It is the concept album from Violent J, Shaggy 2 Dope, Lavelle, and Ishan as supervillains. So next week, supervillain. All right. Well, thanks to everybody for listening. We love all of you. You're the best. You keep us going. Thanks for that. Send us emails at dimcarnival@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at dimcarnival. Check out the YouTube page. Leave us a review on iTunes. And here's looking forward to everything that we got coming down the pike. Shoot us a message and let us know what specifically we should be looking forward to, because we are about to enter extremely uncharted waters. But yeah, thanks to everybody, and thanks to my friends for doing this with me. And you guys are great. I love spending time with you guys every week. So until next week, I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And I still don't like Master of the Flying Guillotine.